Hello, welcome to my channel. This is my first live on this channel. It was unplanned, kind of just sporadic. Felt like I needed to come on here and talk a little bit. Um, so anyone that's followed my channel knows that I made this channel because I was going through my awakening, and I haven't been very active on it. I've been kind of focusing on some other stuff I needed to take care of. However, I feel like the last week or so I've seen an increase of uh, stuff that I felt was important to talk about. And it's something that I've struggled with a lot. So I'm hoping that someone can take something away from this on the replay it's watched. And it's about being in fear of things unknown. So a lot of people are focusing on the eclipse that's coming. A lot of people are concerned about the weather and, whether or not it's going to impact anything. And I don't know, I feel like those of us who are sensitive, um, I notice that there's a lot that seems to be kind of bombarding us and really taking a toll on us. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. I wanted to pull an oracle card, and it is from Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light Oracle deck. And so I'm going to see what we have. Oh, well, that was fast. Oh, I love this. Okay, so we got the Sisterhood of the Rose card. Um, Beauty, Devotion, Priestess, Mystic Teacher. And here I'm hoping, I'm visually impaired, so I really can't tell how clear it is on the screen, so I'm hoping that this helps. You see a little bit of it. I feel like this is really important. I'm not going to read anything from it. I go off of, my intuition about it. And I feel this is super significant. I believe that it speaks more than just being like a mystic or a teacher. I feel like devotion's huge in it. But I also feel, because sisterhood is put in it, that is just like a reminder that you're not alone in this process of your awakening, and that there's other people who are going through the same thing you are. So then that way, you know that you're not by yourself. And obviously, you may not know the people that are going through the same things you are going through, but just know that there are others who are. I feel like the unknown tends to strike fear into a lot of people, including myself. And there's others who, are capable of having that mindset of, not being afraid or hesitant of anything of the unknown. For me, I kind of go back and forth on it, and there are days where I feel super confident and I feel like everything's going great. I'm not gonna focus on what I can't control, and just be in the moment and, live in the present moment and not worry about other stuff, right? But then there's other days where I feel like I freak out a little bit more, and it's because of the unknown. Like, well, what if this, what if that, like your anxiety starts kind of taking over. And I have an overactive mind just in general, so sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming, and I have to bring myself back to center and ground myself and remind myself that what is meant to be will be. We don't have control over anything around us. What we do have control over, though, is how we react to what we come through, or what we're confronted with or presented with. And I found that being a little bit harder to control as of late. My energy is kind of all over the place, and staying high vibrational has been a little bit hard. I am going to be doing my first craft fair, so I've been really focusing on trying to create things for that, because um, I'm using, all my time to put in that. It kind of does take a distraction away from everything else that kind of bothers me. But I notice I've been getting like super snippy about things technically that shouldn't bother me, and I've gotten to a point in my life where it doesn't bother me, but then like all of a sudden I just like fall back into that old way, and sometimes I don't even recognize it right away. And I've been seeing a lot of that happening with people, especially those who are pretty cool, calm, and collected and don't typically deal with stuff like that. Like, that's not a struggle of theirs. And it's the energy. Being a light worker, a light warrior, star seeds, and part of the divine, it almost kind of puts a target on you in a way, because then some feel threatened by that for some reason. Some, feel intimidated, which, it's their own, like, perception of how things are, how they're seeing things. There's really nothing we can do about that. Um, and, it's kind of a struggle to stay high vibrational, if you have sorry, a lot of doubt that surrounds you, or like not enough support around you, and then just seeing the everyday happenings in the world and thinking, well, am I doing enough to even make a difference? And the answer is yes. Um, every day that you choose, sorry, my dog's got big clop hoppers, so scratching up the floor. Every day that you choose to be positive, every time you choose not to fall back into the old ways, you're not just doing it for yourself, you're help raising the vibration of everyone else as well, even though, like, physically you may not see it. Um, I feel like it's okay to have some doubt and uncertainty, because, there is a lot that's going on around us right now that does kind of make things seem a little bit wonky or whatever. But it's really important for us not to live in fear. So, like some people are really spazzing out about the eclipse. And I know a lot of people have this like massive desire to see it. For me, it's just another day. I know that's not the same for others, and that's totally cool. Um, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't feel any kind of way about it, really. I just feel like it's just another day. Um, and I started listening to some of the stuff that was being said about, the eclipse, and could it be um, uh, something that's being covered up, that's going to be done in the dark, and get blamed on the eclipse that's going to affect us. Um, uh, I've seen and heard people relate to like biblical times. I've heard so many different theories, and then there's other ones that simply say nothing's going to happen, right? And no matter what your belief system is, that's to each their own. But believe what you want, just don't be fearful. Because even if something was going to happen, whether it happens on the day of the eclipse, after the eclipse, the 41 days after the eclipse, or tomorrow even, it's out of your control. So try your best not to stress on things that you literally have no control over. So whether you're worried about something like that, or maybe you just don't, you're trying to get through to other people and they're just not being receptive, respect that, and not just respect that that's their viewpoint and you're not getting through to them, but respect that relationship that you have and respect yourself knowing when to step back, because we're all each on our own journey, and it could be quite frustrating, for me at least, when I feel like I'm making a breakthrough with somebody and then I get a bam, like, think again, like, and it seems like everything that I thought was actually starting to go in the right direction literally did not happen. It was like my own perception, like, oh, this is working out great, and that's okay too. Sorry, I have an alarm. Um, so you know, um, we're all each on our own journey. Some of us will wake up on our own, and some of us won't wake up at all, and that's okay. And I think part of it is learning how to be okay with that, especially if it's people that you're close with, because of course we want nothing but the best for those that we love, right, and that are close to us. But at the same time, we can't deplete our own energy, um, trying to get them to see what we're trying to show them. Some people truly are not awake, and I do feel like there's a lot of people who are awake, but they're choosing not to see the truth, because if they did, they would have to acknowledge it, and that would break them. I feel that, like, I feel like the fear, of keeping their head in the sand because they want to live with the sunshines and rainbows and dolphins, and that's an easier life than dealing with what's actually happening around us. So like I said, to each their own. um, they'll come out on their own when they can, if they can. And there will be some that choose to keep their head in the sand because that's just the only way they think they can survive and handle everything, which is fine. um, and there's no need to judge anyone. We're all on our own journey, we're on our own path, and we just need to keep being positive for ourselves, because like I said before, when we are raising our own vibration, we're part of the collective raising vibration all around us, even though we may physically not see it. I feel like there's a lot of empaths and sensitive people who are, feeling super drained. Um, Sleep's an issue. Just feeling, tired, drained, depleted in a way. And just remember to drink your water. And I know that seems to be like the common theme that everybody says, no matter what the issue is, make sure you're drinking your water. If you can, try and meditate, or whatever works for you. Listen to music, dance around, sing like nobody's watching. Um, Color a coloring book if that's something you love to do. There's nothing wrong with that. Use a coloring app, or just do something that makes you happy. And if you're at a point where you feel like anything you do is not working to make you happy, that would normally make you happy, try something different. Um, Sometimes we need to come out of our old ways and change in order to improve ourselves and our surroundings, and make just things a little bit better, which change for me was really hard. It still is, and um, depending on what it is. Um, but I also know for a fact that it works. When I've sat there and hit a roadblock, so to speak, I tried everything before that I would normally do, and actually get frustrated because it wasn't working, and then I just simply changed. Like every morning I would listen to the same type of gratitude and positive affirmations. I have a morning routine playlist where I literally go through um, whatever's on there. And I stopped because it just was not, it wasn't feeling right anymore. I wasn't feeling the feelings I felt when I initially started using them. Like I would feel lighter. I felt like my meditation was successful. I felt, I don't know, I just felt better. And then one day it just stopped. And so I backed away from it and I was just like trying to figure out what was going on. And then I tried to go back to it and I couldn't. And I was really bothered by that. And I thought something was wrong with me personally because I was like, okay, why isn't this working? This should work, right? And what I wound up having to do was actually look for different meditations. And once I finally found an affirmation of gratitude that seemed to resonate with me, I decided to do it. Some of them lasted only one day, and some of them I continue to do. And I even have gone back to like one or two that I was doing beforehand. And I feel like it is it benefits me in a way because I don't feel as stuck as I was. I don't feel um, that there's something wrong with me anymore, and I don't feel the pressure of having to do it a certain way. My awakening journey is different than your awakening journey, just as yours is different from somebody else's. We may all have similarities, but that doesn't mean it's going to be 100% the same. It's important to remember not to compare your awakening to others, which I really struggled with in the beginning. It was super hard for me to get over that, but I worked on it and I still struggle with it from time to time, but it's nothing compared to where it used to be. I would say, all in all, I am a happier person now that I've been able to kind of understand things a little better as far as, letting go of that control um, that, we can't force something that's not ready to happen. And we can't live in fear if, you know, certain people don't come around and want to see the truth for what it is, or um, certain people will maybe disown us, or decide they're no longer wanting to be a part of our lives because of the spiritual journey we're on, and that's okay. Um, People come in and out of our lives so much, you know, and there's a reason for that. I feel like every time we have an interaction with someone, and I felt this way even when I was younger, every time you have an interaction, even if you don't understand what it was for, there was a reason for it. There was a reason that that person said hello to you, or you said good morning to that person. There was a reason that person walked by you. There was a reason, you know, certain things occurred. And again, we may not understand it at that moment, but there's lessons. And I feel like everyone we come encounter with, um, whether it is a bump contract, which it means that my understanding of it is that a bump contract is someone you meet one time, but that meet that you had a significant impact. Um, and you may not even know what that impact is, but it changed something in their journey. So, like for instance, if you're walking around at the store or something and you simply say, have a nice day to the cashier. Well, maybe you saying, have a nice day to the cashier was something that really impacted them in a way, because maybe that day they had a bunch of crabby customers and, they were hating their job or whatever. And so by you saying have a nice day, that shows your appreciation towards them. And unbeknownst to you, you obviously don't know if they needed it or not. You're just doing it because you're being kind. Um, and, bunk contracts can be I feel like they can be very noticeable, but I also feel like now that um, we have mini bump tracks or bump contracts, is what I would like to call them, like the interaction with somebody in a grocery store. Um, but either way, you know, a bump contract could be you run into somebody and for whatever reason you were supposed to meet that day and you never see each other again in that lifetime. But that interaction between you and that person was significant, whether it was for you or for them. And so that to me is what a bump contract means and a mini bump contract means. Granted, I feel like maybe the cashier one was probably a bad example or not a great example because usually if it's a recurring store that you go to, more than likely you'll see them every time you go shopping there. So I guess that wasn't the best example, but I think you get the gist of it. The other thing I wanted to say is that I feel like with everything that I'm hearing others go through, I've been getting a lot of downloads, a lot of light language coming to me, and just a lot of information kind of like pouring and flooding in. And it can be extremely overwhelming, and I'm grateful for all of it, but sometimes it's a little hard to decipher what is happening, and trying to figure out what the messages are. But I think it's important to know that even if you can't articulate and write down exactly what it meant or, um, you know, um, be able to verbalize what it meant and remember it, our bodies, our vessels, we're all energy, and I feel like it's stored in there for us. Um, Sorry, I say a lot, I know. I, I feel like that those messages are still with us, and then it will become like apparent to us or be in our awareness better when the time is right. So the funny thing is I don't speak like language, right? Um, and when I listen to it, I sometimes I can hear words or messages coming through, but most of the time I don't. But I just have this feeling that I know what's being said, if that makes sense. So I just kind of have come to the point where I'm content with that. I'm content with knowing I'm receiving these messages, and I give my gratitude about receiving these messages even if I don't understand what they're saying, because I know that it's all here. It's all with me, and it will be revealed to me in the way it needs to be. And I don't know, it feels comforting. So I've never gotten like an anxious feeling or um, like a bad feeling about it. Like if I didn't know, what was being said, that, it would be like not a great thing. I feel like the messages that come through, especially because um, light language is so different in so many ways, I feel comfort and gratitude knowing that the divine is sending it to me. Knowing that what I call my starlight family, I know everybody has their own name for it. Uh, um, their star family, I call you guys my starlight family because we're all from the stars, and I kind of throw everybody in that group: ancestors of light and love, angels of light and love, guides of light and love. The collective, and it gives me that peace knowing that those messages coming through are from there, right? They're not from anything negative. And because I'm one of those people that feels like they have to know everything or they got to have a plan or something, that was my main struggle, is like not knowing what was coming through and trying to figure it out. But then I realized I don't need to. We literally have it in us. And like I said, even if we can't articulate it or write it down or whatever, it's still there, and it will come forth if need be, when it's time. I know this is kind of like a ramble on. I had no plan, no plan of where this was going to go. I just knew I needed to do a live and come out here and talk and remind, not just myself, but others that don't be afraid. You're divinely protected. Um, don't live in fear. There's a lot of things that are taking place that could instill fear in us. But again, if something's going to happen, there is literally nothing we can do to change the outcome, but we can, you know, only control how we react to certain situations. And everybody reacts differently. So even if you're reacting fine, but your spouse has a negative reaction or a loved one has a negative reaction, try your best not to react to them. And remember that they're still sleeping in a way. And, you know, they do have that anxiety and that fear there. And there's a lot that is keeping them stuck. And as much as we want to help those people come out and see the truth for what it is, it's not in our control. Our purpose, well, I feel like all of our purpose, especially for myself, is to be supportive. Um, I think part of being a light worker and a light warrior is being supportive of those on their journey, and when they need us, be there, and to be non-judgmental and objective. And sometimes it can be really hard to be non-judgmental and objective. Um, I'm a Libra, so I feel like that's probably why it's easy for me to be objective, which tends to piss a lot of people off that can't see things from my view. Um, and I can be judgmental, but I'm not as bad as I used to be with that. It's not as hard for me to kind of let things go and take a step back and ask myself, well, what does it matter? How is it impacting me? And I try to, in my mind and in my heart, I try my best to put myself in their shoes, and that's where the objectivity comes from, um, is by trying to see a situation from every angle possible, and then using your discernment or your judgment to decide where to go from there. Um, whether it is with a person or a situation, um, if it feels off, listen to your gut. If it feels like, there's a little bit more to it, listen to your gut and figure out what more it is you need to see. And if you are unable to, um, you know, after you remove yourself from that situation and give your time self to calm down, or, kind of go back and look at it differently and still get stuck, talk to your guides, talk to your ancestors, talk to um, your fellow star seeds. And if you don't have communication with them, like one to one, that's okay. Pray about it. Um, I know pray is it's a very wishy-washy word, um, because I feel like when people think of prayer, for the most part, they think of, like, a Hail Mary or Apostles' Creed or Our Father or something like that. But that's not all it has to be. Prayer can be anything. Um, I don't feel like it's as black and white as some of us were programmed to believe. I don't think that it has to be said a certain way. I don't think you have to be in a certain place in order to do it. Like, you can be walking in the supermarket and pray. You can be using the bathroom and pray. You can be in the shower. You could be driving or, you know, cooking dinner or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is no right or wrong way to do it. There is no right or wrong way to, you know, voice your concerns as long as it's coming from a place of love. As long as it's coming from a place of love and not a place of, you know, vengeance or anything like that, you're good. Um, and, you know, some people are able to get their answers right away. Sometimes it takes a few days, sometimes it'll take longer um, to have prayers answered. And sometimes they're answered and you didn't even realize they were. So, like, if you, for instance, pray for uh, financial abundance, right? And you're like, okay, I really need help with this financial abundance. Well, okay, maybe your prayers aren't answered in the sense that someone hands you a $50 bill, but maybe an opportunity comes up where you can apply for assistance of something that can help you with that, or um, maybe um, there is like maybe a job opportunity or something that presents itself that is able to help you. So what I'm saying is, like, financial abundance doesn't only have to come as money. It could come in different ways. It could come in different opportunities that present themselves. And sometimes we don't recognize that. So, you know, like, it, people hit hard times financially and stuff, and, you know, you're thinking, oh, I got this to do, I got this to do, and um, the blessing that does come to you, like I said, may not be in the form of actually cash money, but maybe a form of like a program that can help you, or some sort of resource, or like I said, a business opportunity, something like that. And so it's good to remember to, like, kind of be, I guess, open minded in the sense of when we're praying and when we're asking um, help from the divine and from our Starlight family, that we are open minded about it. It's not just, well, it has to come this way, and that's the only way it can come, because that's not true. It could come in many ways. The other thing is, I feel like I noticed within my own inner circle that it can be hard to see the blessings that we already have. And I feel like it's really important that we do. So, like, for me, I started, before I would say, you know, thank you for all the blessings and abundance in my life. But then I started saying thank you for the abundance of blessings in my life, and I go back and forth with them because I think it's important. I feel like sometimes we need a reminder, or maybe we have to help others remember that what we have right now in the present is a blessing in itself, because you have a lot more than another person in this world does. I have a lot more than other people in this world could possibly dream of. So a blessing in itself, like I tell my family, is you have a job. There's people out there that don't, so that's a blessing. A blessing could be you have health insurance when other people don't. A blessing can be as simple as you have your own bed and pillow to lay in when you come home at night, whereas other people don't. It's a blessing just to have a roof over your head, and it may not be, you know, a fancy smancy place that you've always wanted, but the fact of the matter is you still have shelter, which is more than some others have. So I think it's really important to remember the little things in our, well, what we may consider little things in our life, others would consider a huge deal in theirs. So I think it's just important to remember to give gratitude and feel blessed and acknowledge what blessings we do have in our life. Because again, there's others out there that are way worse off than what we are. And all the stuff that's around us, all the material stuff, that's exactly what it is. It's material. And Whether it can be replaced or not, is debatable, because some people have attachments to certain things, and it could be like one of a kind type thing that could not be replicated. But at the end of the day, it's stuff. At the end of the day, that's what it is. And for some people, that's super important, and that's fine. I have certain things in my life that I feel super attached to, that if something were to happen to them, I'd be horribly devastated. But at the same time, I know if something were to happen to it, like if it was an antique or something, that it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. So you, if you have to grieve that loss, you grieve that loss, and then you move forward. Because uh, there are different kinds of losses in life. It's not just losing someone to death or a breakup of a relationship. Sometimes a memory of something, or someone attached to something, I should say, can be a very big loss to people. Um, and so I know it's a ramble, but I just, like I said, I just wanted to kind of touch on whatever came to me, and that's what I'm doing. I'm sure this is a little long, but sorry. Um, the other thing is, I think it's, for me, I feel like when we're around, or when I'm around certain situations, and I know that, like, maybe the people that I'm around or the situation that I'm in is not necessarily for the betterment of myself, it can be hard to put up a boundary, and it's super easy to like fall back into that way of thinking, um, until you start feeling yourself get depleted, and then you have to kind of pull back and say, okay, this has to stop. And when that happens, don't feel guilty about that, because we are living a human experience and we are emotional beings. So it is natural for us to have some sort of, I don't want to call it a setback, because I feel like it's really not. Um, but, like if we feel like we're falling into an old way, the important thing is we don't stay there. We recognize it, and we put that wall up or that boundary set, and remind ourselves why we need it there, and then move forward from that. And when it comes to people that are in our lives that we're very close to, it makes it a lot harder to do that, right? Or maybe if it's even like a relationship you have with somebody at work, like a coworker, not like a dating relationship, but just like a coworker. But you realize, as much as you love being around them, their energy is draining your energy. So maybe putting a space between you and them, um, or setting some sort of boundary. You don't even have to really let them know. I feel like a lot of people are worried about boundaries because they're worried about offending somebody. But you don't have to tell them. You could simply give signs of pulling back a little bit, or maybe changing things up. And I don't know, I feel like there's somebody out there who is having an issue with someone they work with who they absolutely adore, but then they realize that, like, they can't be going um, into that space with them as much as they want to, because it does deplete them. So no, it's okay. Don't feel guilty. You're not doing it to hurt anybody. You're doing it to um, maintain your vibration, and trying to stay in a place that you're happy being in, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, so sorry, it was quite the long one. and it's all over the place. I completely understand. So I'm going to pull one more card and see if we have another message, and see, we'll go from there. Ooh, and it's still the same oracle deck, sorry. Well, I'll be damned. Look at that. Boundaries. Look at that. What were we just talking about? That is crazy. So that's confirmation that if you're listening to this, there's a boundary that needs to happen there, my friend. Okay, so this is the boundaries card. And where do I need to establish better boundaries, which is what we were literally just talking about. So I love how cards do that. I think that is absolutely amazing. You'll be doing something and bam, a card comes out that just resonates and it's just like, haha, you know. I think that's so awesome. So yeah, so I'll hold the card up for you. And I don't know if anybody's in this live or not. Again, visually impaired, so I really can't tell. But if somebody is here, oh, sorry, alarm. But if somebody's here, thank you for being here. And then anybody on the replay, thank you for watching. And, you know, I hope you take what's resonating and leave what doesn't. And, you know, this is all my own opinion. Nothing's facts, just me going off of my intuition and feeling the need to talk to whoever needs to hear it. So, thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Remember, you are light, you are love, you are healing, and you are protected. Love you all.